Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host, Ruari, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have Danielle Nicolet. She stars as Cecile Horton in the Flash role she also played in Supergirl, and her other notable roles include Maggie in Central Intelligence, Jenna in Born Again Virgin, Caryn in Third Rock from the Sun, Ororo Munroe, aka Storm and Cerebra Voice in X-Men, Karui and Yûgao Uzuki in Naruto, Karui and Naruto the Movie Blood Prison, Shaundi and Saints Row the Third, Saints Row 4 and Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, Gamora, Maria Hill, Miss Marvel and Storm in Lego Marvel Superheroes, Storm and Miss Marvel in Marvel Heroes, Storm and Black Widow in Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth, Captain Marvel in Lego Marvel's Avengers, Storm in Marvel Anime, Jacqui Briggs and Sareena in Mortal Kombat X, Sonnet in Hawks 2, Sarah in Acrimony, Paula in Second Time Round, Liz Marsh in The Starter Wife, Stitch Bichette in Family Tools and Yana in the game. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I was like, oh gosh, I forgot about half of those things. That's so interesting.
Yeah, a lot of amazing credits. I'm doing very well, thanks. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Happy to be here.
Great stuff. So, getting right to my questions for you, Danielle. First of all, can you tell me how you got into acting?
Gosh, I got into acting by stumbling in it a little bit. I always knew that I wanted to be an actor from my absolute earliest memories. I just remember watching TV and thinking, oh, that's what I need to be doing. But I'm from a really small town in Ohio, so it wasn't quite what anyone considered sort of like a normal course of one's life. Um, but when I was a kid, I was a gymnast. And I started training at a gym that was out in Southern California. And it felt like that would have been a good time to tell my mom that being an actor was something I wanted to do. And I'm so fortunate that she was supportive. And I just got really lucky. I found an agent pretty quickly and I booked the first couple of jobs that I went out for, which gave me enough confidence to keep on going. And all things considered, I've had a pretty smooth, lucky ride ever since.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's nice that your mum was so supportive from the beginning because, like, some parents might not be so much when they find out their,
Yes.
child wants to get into acting.
There was definitely a split between my parents. My father just accepted that I didn't finish college and became an actor about 6 weeks ago. So it's definitely not easy for parents to accept when their kids want to, essentially run off and join the circus. But fortunately, it's worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. 6 weeks ago. Yeah. It's like, right, she's starring in the Flash. It's fine now.
Just now, I want to say it was maybe all true. Maybe a year ago, my dad finally said, "I think you're doing all right. I'm proud of you." As you know, I think maybe it's worked out. Like, thanks, Dad. I've never done anything else for a living. I'm glad that you now feel like it's finally worked out. And now every time we have a conversation, he doesn't open it by asking me what classes I'm taking because he was so devastated that I didn't finish college.
Wow, I mean, still though, the magic words every kid wants to hear that your parents proud
Uh,
of you, so still
it's
late but worth
true.
it.
Totally worth it. Totally.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Can you tell me how you were originally cast as Cecile Horton in The Flash?
Gosh, that was actually an interesting and again super lucky journey for me. So, um, this is dating back to before the Arrowverse started. So just prior to Arrow pilot being made, I had done a film called Red Faction Origins with the same creators who created The Flash. And that was meant to be a backdoor pilot for the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know if anybody remembers Red Faction as a video game. So it was like this kind of super cool um, sci-fi story that took place on Mars. And uh, after Red Faction, it sort of got picked up and then dropped and then picked up and dropped by Sci-Fi Channel. And so the creators moved on and created Arrow. And they actually wrote a role specifically for me in Arrow. They even named the character after my character in the Red Faction movie. Cut to, all I pretty much had to do was like show up and don't bump into the furniture when I met with the network, which I 100% bumped into the furniture, and they didn't hire me. They hired Annie Alonso for the role. So I didn't book it, which was such a disappointment. And then I don't remember what series I was on at the time. I was off doing something else. They then went on to create The Flash the following year. And I got a call saying, hey, do you want to come do The Flash? Like, we'd really like to introduce you to the universe. There's this character in the comics named Cecile Horton, and we think that you would be perfect for her. We want to sort of adjust the character a bit to make her into Joe's love interest. And I mean, I couldn't get on the plane fast enough. So I came up here to Vancouver. I did a few episodes. In the meantime, I had done a pilot called Born Again Virgin. And while I was shooting my third episode of The Flash, I think it was, my pilot got picked up. So away from Vancouver, I went to Atlanta to shoot my show, and they ended up having to cut me out of, I think they cut me out of the third episode because they figured I wasn't going to be available to keep doing the show. And I wasn't for about the next year and a half while I did 2 seasons of Born Again Virgin. And when that show got canceled, the story hit the trades that my show was over. And about 2 hours later, I got a call from the creator of The Flash saying, hey, do you want to finish what we started? At that point, it was the beginning of season 3. So I came up here and started over again as Cecile Horton in episode 9 of season 3. And for the next couple of seasons, I did about half of the episodes. I had some other commitments, a few films that I was committed to that I had to get done. And then once those were all done, I've been here with the show full time ever since the beginning of season 5.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. It's nice that they like just kept you in mind. Like some shows would just like move on, cast other people or something.
Yeah.
They were like, we really want Danielle back.
I'm so ridiculously blessed, and it's so funny. When I was doing Born Again Virgin, I would think about The Flash all the time, and I would think, gee, I wonder if this hadn't happened, would I continue on The Flash? Boy, if this show ends, wouldn't it be amazing if I got to go back to The Flash? And thinking, well, that's never going to happen. Because like you just said, shows move on. They find people that they like better. They recast a role. They rewrite an arc. And I just feel so fortunate because I really, really wanted to be on this show from the beginning. Like I said, when they called it season 1, you couldn't get me on that plane fast enough. I was so excited to be on a show like this. Like, this type of show is the type of thing that I like to watch and that I loved to watch as a kid. And so it's different than being on sort of like a regular procedural or even on a comedy. There's something that's like special about it for me. And I think a lot of people, it sort of like touches the kid inside you that has this really active fantasy life and imagination, which is 1,000,000% who I was and am.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So I think it goes without saying, but were you a fan of The Flash, the Arrowverse, or DC Comics prior to your casting?
Yes, absolutely. I always was. I was as a kid. My brother was a big comic book head, and he was my older brother, so I was forced to read everything that he read. And yeah, the DC side of it all, I just loved comics in general. I love the idea of, particularly like with The Flash or with Wonder Woman, who was my favorite when I was a kid, the idea that people are born a regular person and they wake up one day and discover that they have powers, or something happens to them and they get powers, is always, I think, when I was little, something every night I go to bed and like, I would pray, please, 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 when I wake up in the morning, let me move things with my mind. And so like comic characters, and particularly the characters on these shows in the universe, they're so cool because they're so grounded still in reality. None of these shows play this kind of like out there otherworldly energy. Everybody plays like the truth of life, which is like family and love and friends, and having superpowers is really neat but also secondary.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. What were you told about the character of Cecile when you were about to shoot your first scene?
Um, Gosh, I was told well in advance, like where it was leading up to the trial of Barry Allen. I knew that she was going to be Jesse L. Martin, Joe West's love interest, and that they would ultimately, be together. I did not know, and I was not told that she would have powers. So when I found that out, I was very, very, very happy.
Yeah, for sure. And like that's really interesting though that you like they told you so much so far in advance because obviously you're in a couple of episodes of season 1, came back from season 3 and have been a regular part of the
Mhm.
show since. So it's really cool that they like told you so much right away instead of like being
Yeah.
secretive.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think perhaps having worked with the showrunner before, I was just lucky in that area because for sure people come on the show, guest stars come on all the time, and they don't necessarily know where their character's going, or they have some sort of vague idea. And oftentimes, we don't always know. Our showrunner Eric Wallace is pretty great about telling each of us what's going to be happening with our character throughout the season, but what's happening with everybody else almost always is a surprise for us,
Yeah, absolutely.
which keeps it interesting.
For sure, it makes a lot of sense. Definitely. And I mean, you mentioned, of course, Cecile getting powers. You didn't know that first. Like, I mean, to be fair, if there's something that would be kept a surprise, it's that, like, getting powers. It's like just so brilliant. And I love the way Cecile got her powers.
Me too. Oh my gosh, when I found out, so let's see, it would have been hiatus between season 3 and season 4. And I'm standing in the living room, and the showrunner calls me, and he's like, "Hey, so I just wanted to talk to you about next season and what the plan is, and make sure that you're okay with it because I don't want to write this for you if you don't want to play this or you're not comfortable with it." So I was like, "Okay, sure." And he said, "So here's what's going to happen. Cecile is going to get pregnant, and while she's pregnant, she's going to start to develop powers." And he starts explaining it to me and how it sort of justified the way one can get gestational diabetes when they're pregnant, that it's sort of the equivalent that she's gotten essentially gestational superpowers. And I'm listening on the phone and I'm keeping it super cool. I'm like, okay, yeah, wow, that sounds really, I think that would be fun. In the meantime, I'm standing at my dining room table, phone to ear, jumping up and down while my husband is on the other side of the room going, "What's going on?" And I still have the notebook. I had like like a notebook binder and a Sharpie that was on the dining room table. And I wrote in huge letters, "I'm getting powers." And I was holding it up to him, jumping up and down while on the phone. I was like, yeah, no, that sounds really fun. So superpowers, you say? Yeah, I'd love to do that. So not that cool. So I couldn't have been more excited about it. I couldn't have been more excited about the way they had them unfold in such a comedic fashion as well. Obviously everybody knows comedy is my main background. So, getting to do my impressions of the rest of the cast and taking on the pizza guy's persona as part of my powers was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So many amazing scenes that came from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, Cecile has been such a wonderful part of The Flash, going back all the way to her original appearances in season 1. It's been great to see you get a much bigger role over the years. What have you enjoyed the most about developing Cecile over the course of the show so far?
Wow. The thing I've enjoyed the most is because she's been developing season over season, it's a new adventure for me every season going in because as her powers are growing, and they have been and continue to grow, it's a new element for me to play. So I don't ever really become bored as an actor. I don't ever feel like, oh gosh, I've been doing the same thing for 6 seasons now. Every season feels like a new element to play. And I'm also enjoying, in the beginning, because I wasn't able to sign on full time, and I did have other projects going on that I needed to focus on. I was very fortunate that I was able to participate on the show, but not have to be super heavy in most episodes. And so it's nice now that I'm here full time on the show, I don't have these other projects going on, then it enables me to really be present. And I'm so fortunate that the writers give me really great stuff to do now. And that part's really fun too. Like just that whole journey of kind of getting here and settling in and discovering the character.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And what would you say are the similarities you see between yourself and Cecile, if any?
Oh gosh, the biggest similarity would be I'm also very empathic. It's hard for me to be around other people and kind of not absorb their energy and be really in tune with their feelings. I genuinely don't know if they wrote Cecile as an empath because they knew me, or if it's just one of those things that happens in life that you tend to draw to you like that which you know. But yeah, that's the part I think that and also like her loving commitment to her relationship and Cecile's kind of life choice to meet everyone where they're at. It's definitely, I don't know if I'm 100% Cecile in that, if I'm that as good as Cecile is at that, but it's a lesson that playing her teaches me to remember to, just meet people where they're at and be okay with that and accept them exactly where they are.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now imagine if you had Cecile's powers in real life.
Oh, if only I could get people to feel the way I want them to feel in order to get them to do what I want them to do. That would be amazing. I'm working on it. I'm working on it every day at work.
Maybe one day.
Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah. So one of my favorite episodes in the previous season of The Flash was Masquerade, not only because it was a Cecile heavy episode, but very important in dealing with heavy topics like mental health. So many people either have those struggles themselves or know someone who is struggling with it. What was your experience like filming this particular episode? Did you approach it like you would any episode, or did it feel especially important to you?
It felt especially important to me on a lot of levels, not the least of which being I grew up with a mother who struggled with mental illness. I'm very public and open about my own struggles with anxiety and the importance of good mental health. I'm a national spokesperson for NAMI, which if anybody listening to this or watching is feeling like they can't handle things or they just need a little support or assistance with their anxiety, their depression, please reach out to NAMI. They are a wonderful resource. That's NAMI. On Instagram, online, their website. So yeah, that episode for me not only hit home really hard, I felt like it was such a gift and an opportunity to, granted, it's The Flash. We do everything on a much larger scale, and there's a bit of, magic and musicality to the way that we do it. But to get the message out there that one doesn't need to feel ashamed of suffering depression or anxiety, and that it's the act of opening up and talking about it that actually empowers you. On our show, The Flash, so it literally empowered Cecile. But I felt like it was such a good allegory and a tremendous message to send. And you would be surprised the number of people on our show and who work for our show that this message resonated with and spoke to. The writers of the episode, Kristen and Sam, they both wrote the episode because they have this in their own lives. And our showrunner, my beloved Eric Wallace, was so communicative with me at the top about the importance of especially expressing to families of color, because culturally, a lot of times Black families, Latinx families, are even less inclined to seek assistance in the mental health arena. It's just like a cultural thing. And if I do nothing else with my life, if I get one person to feel no shame about anxiety or depression and get help for it, then I have won. I have completely won life. I've won the game. And I feel like that episode helped.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's like The Flash has had so many amazing episodes over the years, but just felt like this particular one was like special in a whole other way. Like, it's just always great to see, you know, TV show episodes, films, whatever, like, tackle such an important topic in their own way, because it is very serious.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, some of your own team on the show like suffer from it as well, or like know people that have. So like it's just so important. We all know someone, whether it's ourselves or someone we know, that has struggled with it at some point. So it was just so powerful. It meant so much, that episode.
I can't tell you what it means to me to hear you say that. I'm so grateful. And yeah, I think sometimes, I know for myself, I was a kid who you couldn't tear away from the television. I'm an adult who it's hard to tear away from the television. And but you know, particularly in my family, my family had a really fractured, we grew up in a fractured environment. My mom struggled with mental health issues, and so a lot of times TV was my escape, and I looked to the stories that I saw on television to give me some idea, some guidance, some sense of what my world should look like, or the world that I wanted to create for myself as I grew up. And I felt like I wanted to make an episode of The Flash that no matter who's watching it, they can look at it and say, no one's preaching to me. I can relate to this. And oh yeah, it's okay. If she can go through all of this and then realize that her power comes in owning, accepting, and talking about anxiety and depression, and that that's actually what gets you out of it, then, because I felt like if I had watched that before I got help for my own anxiety and depression, that would have given me some guidance. It would have sent me in a good direction.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say are your favorite memories from your time working on The Flash so far?
Gosh, there are a lot. There are so many. Drinking too much wine with Danielle Panabaker. Finding reasons to lunch in LA in the sunshine, because we don't get a whole lot of that in Vancouver with Candace. Laughing with Grant, even though all he does is make fun of me and scare me, because I'm so easily frightened on set all the time, and he constantly makes me jump. I guess overall, like, my biggest memories are the moments where we all just feel like family. And especially now, I think COVID really solidified that for us so much. Like, Danielle and I used to live in the same apartment building. Kayla and I now do. Brandon lives 2 doors down. We're, you know, like, all we have is each other up here. Last like year and a half. And I don't think I've ever been so grateful to have this group of people. Like, everyone's so loving and kind, and yeah, so like my favorite memories are strangely not stuff that's on camera, but in terms of moments on the show that are my favorite, my favorite moment for Cecile is the pizza guy moment, taking on his personality, and also having to figure out how to do Danielle Panabaker in that same episode. I think that was season 4. That same episode where I was absorbing the personalities of whomever was around me, and also mind reading and Miss Los. Like, we had a moment where I read his mind and I had to ask him what a Bulbasaur was. Those are my favorite Cecile moments.
That
And then
that made me laugh so much. Like, I've been a Pokemon fan my whole life as well. So
have you?
yeah. So the moment Bulbasaur got referenced, I was like, just burst into laughter because I was just like,
I
I get that.
I could have played that scene all day. We were having so much fun, and Los is hilarious. All day long, I could have played that scene just over and over again. Oh my gosh. And then let me think. I think that my favorite sort of, I'm not in this scene, but my favorite like actiony scene on the show is, it would have been season 6 because Iris was in the Mirrorverse, and it's the scene where Barry, mirror Iris, not actual Iris, and Barry fight in their loft, and her arms turn into swords, and they have this big, like, massive fight. I just think that was some of the best stunt direction we've ever had, and I just thought the whole thing looked so cool. That's probably like my favorite Flashy Flash scene.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an amazing one as well. So what do you think fans should be most looking forward to in the upcoming 8th season of The Flash?
Oh boy, this season is big. So, you know how normally we do crossovers like midway through the season? So, new life, new MO. We are opening the season with a 5-part series called Armageddon, and the term Armageddon does not exaggerate. The fans are going to see some of their most favorite members of the DC universe. I'm not giving away any secrets by saying this. I mean, Brandon Routh shows up, Kyler Lee shows up, Cress Williams shows up. Some of the universe's most and biggest characters, Javicia, Batwoman, she shows up. Everyone and all of us are fighting together. So you can imagine how big of a threat we're facing if it requires every single member of Team Flash plus members of teams of every other universe show. Like, it is big, and our baddies are so big. It is super exciting. And the theme of the season, for all of our characters that I think the fans are going to get into, because I think it makes for a real fresh take on how the show plays, is like leveling up. We alluded to it at the end of season 7, but like, oh, hey, this character, Cecile's powers are leveling up and Allegra's powers are leveling up. Like, what's going on here? Everyone's powers are growing and expanding, and therefore so are the battles. So are the manner with which we all fight the battles. And I think the fans are going to love that. I think watching Barry Allen level up, wow, it's pretty big. Plus, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. There will be a surprise about Barry Allen, a very big one that the comic book fans are going to lose their brains over.
Brilliant stuff. And what can you tease about Cecile's role in upcoming episodes?
Cecile is, because her powers have leveled up, she's much more part of the fight, which is super fun for me. And I think it's not giving anything away to say, if you went back to episode, 13 of season 7 Masquerade, there's some really strong indications in that episode of where Cecile's powers are headed. And as we start making our way through the beginnings of season 8, we realize that they have definitely improved in a big way. And it's fun for me to play as an actor because I love being part of the fight. Like, I in the beginning, it was like everybody kept the secret from Cecile that Barry was the Flash. And then as it moved on, it was like, well, Cecile has powers, but they're more passive rather than active. And now her powers are most definitely active. And it's fun for me to utilize them. I enjoy it. Please ignore me while I take a sip of tea out of the Jitters mug that I stole from work.
I saw you lifting it up, and I was just like, "Is that a Jitters mug?"
I didn't do it on purpose. I just realized, yeah, most of the mugs in my cupboard I stole from the Jitter set. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's amazing.
Don't tell anyone. Here, I'll cover it.
Yeah,
Don't tell.
it's not like this interview is online or anything. Oh, wait.
No one will see it. No one will see it. It's like not even a video or anything.
So my final question for you, Danielle, aside from upcoming episodes of The Flash, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
Oh goodness. I have one thing. Anybody who follows me on Instagram will know because I've posted so excessively about it. I have been participating in this amazing program, fellowship called Women Right Now, as in WRITE right now. That's taking me back to my comedy roots. My beloved Kevin Hart has started not only his own studio, because, you know, he's a very big deal. So he started his own studio, and because he and the team that he works with really want the opportunity to support Black female comedy writers, because we're massively underrepresented in our industry, he created this fellowship with the Sundance Institute to allow a few Black female comedy writers to write a short. And LOL Studios produced it along with the Sundance Institute. So my short, Black Caryn, is the title of it, was chosen. And I had the distinct honor of flying home to LA to shoot it over the last couple of weeks. And Megan Good directed, and some wonderful, wonderful people showed up to be in it. Risha Webb is in it, Cedric the Entertainer's in it, Kathleen Manassa. And yeah, so I'm so blessed that my short will be premiering at Sundance on January 23rd, which I will be there with bells on. I'm so excited for. And this opportunity to identify as a writer, which is something that I've always wanted, and all the years that I did comedy, felt like wasn't an avenue that was available to me. So leave it to Kevin Hart to be the one to go, nah, you can do this. And give me the truest of true shots at it. So mostly right now, that's the thing I'm focused on. I'm focused on writing, and you know, my goal is to create some TV shows and write some films.
Yeah, well, good luck with it. That would be amazing to see. So hopefully you will one
Thank
day.
you.
But like, that's brilliant. Like Sundance, of course, you know, such a big deal. So like, great place to start.
Yeah, I couldn't have picked a better jumping off point. I feel so fortunate, and also like I couldn't have gotten a better crew. I mean, Megan Good's directing. Like, thank you so much for taking a couple of weeks off of Shazam to come direct my short film, Megan. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. It's such a great, supportive, tremendous group that LOL is working with. Candace Wilson-Cherry, who is my producer, and Ty Randolph, who runs LOL, and Jeff Clanagan. Just everyone has been terrific, and I've felt so supported and so affirmed. Like I've left this project feeling like I can do or write anything. So I'm just kind of trying to ride the wave and enjoy this moment, because I don't know that I'll ever get anything this fantastic again.
Yeah, brilliant stuff though. Well, good luck with it. Like, it sounds amazing. So that's all of my questions for you today, Danielle. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Same to you. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, and hopefully we can talk again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. I'm dying to hear what you think about Armageddon.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see it. Only like another week or so to go, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So then that means that you and I have to reconvene after Armageddon so that I can hear thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Can't wait. So I'll look forward to talking to you then, Danielle. Thanks again for joining us today, and take care. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye. The Flash Season 8 premieres November 16th with the start of the 5-episode Armageddon event. The Flash currently airs Tuesdays at 8/7 Central on the CW, but as of March 2022 will air Wednesdays at the same time. Make sure to check out our podcast links, check out our website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP, check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out my Instagram, www.instagram.com/Rory Williamson. Check out Danielle Nicolet on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Danny Nicolet. And check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
Well, it was very interesting. Eric Wallace and myself had a long conversation about that, and it was great that we could. It's been a very collaborative experience. You know, I could go and have.
There were definitely things that were just theirs. You know, things that they had constructed for their usage about the character. So it was. You know, it was a long conversation, but it was really helpful, and it gave me the starting.